Alrighty, short one for you this time because I was just a photo shoot down south of Sydney and I think it's pretty cool. This is the brand new Jasper's Meadows, a luxury country mid-century style retreat, and I was doing some venue shots for them. They've had their general venue shots already done, but I was there to fill in the gaps, take some food photography shots, take some drone footage outside, and just fill in the gaps. So given that, I had to fill my bag kind of strategically to cover all my bases. I know I'm going to be shooting a lot of different things, but I'm not sure exactly what each shot is going to entail. And I obviously can't take everything I own because it's going to be a shoot on location. So I picked out stuff that would cover as many situations as possible without having to go with multiple gear bags. Firstly, and most importantly, the camera I'm going to be using is the Canon EOS 60 Mark II. I'm a film photographer primarily, but for these venue and product style jobs, digital is always going to be an easier workflow. I did, however, find space at the end to chuck in my favourite little film camera, the Canon Demi EE17. For lenses, I'm packing my trusty Canon EF 24-105. It's a good workhorse lens that will cover all the focal lengths that I'm expected to shoot at. But for some nice depth of field and bokeh in the product shots I'm going to be doing, I'm going to take my Sigma 85mm art lens. Because this thing just produces some incredible shots with its 1.4 f-stop. And it's a very fast lens as well, which is good for when you're unsure of what the lighting conditions are going to be like. For the drone side of things, I have the DJI Spark. It doesn't have the greatest camera quality out there, but to get this job done and to get what my client is looking for, it'll be perfect. I packed in my Sarui tripod, a simple stand tripod, and also my DJI Osmo phone gimbal for any potential video work. Now, for lighting, I was told that the space is fairly well lit, so I won't need to be doing much. I took my Godox remote flash, even though I didn't end up using it because I actually prefer static lighting when it comes to product shots. Which is why I packed my favourite tool, the Yongnuo YN360 bar light. I love this thing. It's got a full spectrum of colours as well as a wide temperature range for white light if you include the orange filter cover. And not to mention that it's super light and portable, battery powered and has a remote control. And finally, just to round out my bag, I added some batteries and some filters just in case. So with all my gear packed up, I headed down to Jasper's Meadows in Berry. And so this is the place. This little drinks alcove is where we'll be doing the first food shot, and then we'll be moving into the kitchen for the second. It's a really beautiful property, and I'll be doing some general venue shots around the place, and then later in the day I'll be heading outside with the drone for some afternoon light over the garden. Starting off with the food stuff, I just had to get my lighting perfect before I could do anything else. Setting up my bar light and my tripod at an angle to produce some nice shadows across the frame. The client is looking for a nice, warm, inviting aesthetic. So I set my bar light up for a nice warm white to hopefully reduce the amount of white balancing I have to do later in the edit. Now it's kind of hard to record on the job while your client's there in the same room, but as you can see here, I'm going through trying to find the perfect angle for this shot, and moving all the important and interesting elements around this drinks cabinet while highlighting the hero of this image, this incredible pineapple style appetizer platter. Having a full and busy frame like this is great for venue photography because it makes the place feel lively and lived in. But it's important that I pull back on all that clutter, and I did that with my Sigma 85 art lens and that shallow bokeh it gives me. I also tried shooting from the other side to test out the lighting, but the first angle was definitely the best, and after shifting a couple of elements around slightly, I had the perfect shot. Check in at the end to see how all the shots turned out. Next up, we're heading into the kitchen to capture a really pretty focaccia that was made. We first tried taking some shots of it while we were still in the baking tray just in case, but we soon took it out in search of that hero shot. Using a lighter wooden platerboard against the dark bench was a really great choice for that contrast. And it really pulls the eye into that focaccia as the dark bench kind of creates a fake vignette. Putting some nice bright capsicums and broccoli also gives another point of interest and a splash of colour in the background to round out the frame. But for good measure, I did some shots without them in the background just in case. It's good to cover your bases on these kind of shoots. And then we were off around the house doing some venue shots. The stuff my clients are missing are mainly close-ups of the decor so they can advertise the meadows. So I walked around getting shots of the art, the decor, the lighting fixtures, a couple of rooms, and even some out in the gardens. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get any B-roll footage of this side of the shoot, but the photos are definitely still worth it. And finally, now that we were getting later in the afternoon and that harsh midday light was dissipating, we headed outside into the gardens for some drone footage. Now, unfortunately, I only have 2 batteries that only last about 10 minutes each. So I had to be really quick in first scoping out the scene and then lining up the shots that I needed. The client is looking for photos of the house and the ground, so that's what I focused on. But luckily I also had some battery life left over at the end to do some videos. And I'm so glad that I had that extra battery life because these shots are awesome. Especially this one. This is like a perfect shot rising up out of the gardens and ending up on the mountain in the background. It could be a perfect title card sequence for them to put on any videos they make of the property. And that was the shoot. Afterwards, I headed home and started to edit out the photos. I'm so glad that I took my time getting the shot and the lighting perfect in camera on location, as I actually only ended up having to do minimal edits, mainly in the white balancing area. Another bonus of that is that I can keep the image as high quality as possible, which is especially important in product photography where you want the client to have as much flexibility in what they can do with their images. And there we have it. Let's have a look at the final result. I am so happy with these shots, and I'm incredibly happy that the client loves them too. Jasper's Meadows is an incredible property, and I'm so thankful that they let me come and capture their beautiful property. So what do you guys think? Do you like these shots? Leave a like and drop a comment down below. I'd love to hear what you guys' favourite shot is. It also helps me figure out if you guys like this photography style content. But anyway, thanks again for watching, and have a good one.